stomach in, chest out, head up. 6 simple words. But as you get older, increasingly, you're going to have to repeat this to yourself. You're going to have to say this to yourself internally. Stomach in, chest out, head up. Now, this goes for men and women. And this isn't just about appearances. This isn't just about looks like it might have been in your teens or your 20s or your 30s. This is about some of your physical and mental health that you need to try to stay on top of as you get older. Now, in many ways, the physical feeds into the mental feeds into the physical. So sometimes when you're feeling really good about yourself, really good about your situation, yeah, your body, almost like a flower, it perks up. You got your stomach in, you got your chest out, you got your head up, and it shows, and it's as a result of your mental. So you got to stay on top of your mental. It feeds into your physical, but also your physical. If you're slouching down, stomach out, chest in, you know what I'm saying, you're just shrinking as a person, and just that can feed into the mental, where now maybe you don't feel as capable. Now you feel older. Maybe now you feel judged. But on a certain measure, you have let your physical slack. And those are 3 simple things. You don't have to lift weights. You don't have to do cardiovascular. You don't have to schedule this shit out. It's 3 simple things. That's just a baseline, a floor of what you need to start to remembering physically and mentally as you get older, as you cross 35, 40, 45, 50, 60, 70. Stomach in, chest out, head up. That's just a baseline of the physical activity that you may need to devote to yourself as you get older. So, but like I say, it's something that you have to remind yourself. Whenever maybe you pass by a mirror, maybe you look at some pictures, maybe something triggers you, maybe somebody says something to you, but maybe something triggers you and reminds you, oh yeah, let me straighten up here. But at least you're reminded, at least you're aware that that's what you need to do. Because many people, and for various health reasons, some people, it's just the path that they go down. But as we get older, we start to let the physical slack. And so it starts to have health problems. It starts to show up in health issues. Now, luckily, someone told me when I was younger, in my teen years, about the importance of posture, the importance of cardiovascular, the importance of, a certain amount of weight training, the importance of your health when you're younger, so that it builds a good foundation for you when you're older. Luckily, I heard that in my teen years. Hey, yo, homeboy, your posture, you might want to straighten up, and that helped me a lot. I was aware of it. But when you get older, you got so many things you're juggling. Your body's gotten a certain amount of wear and tear. You know what I'm saying? It's just, sometimes you get a certain ease, a certain release, a certain relaxation. And next thing you know, you look at yourself and you're doing it. You're letting the stomach stick out. The chest is not, nowhere to be seen. And, you're just shrinking down as a person. And then, bit by bit, when that starts to show up in your spine, when that starts to show up, in, your abdomen area, when you start to gain weight, when you start to develop some of these different health issues, some of that can go back to those 3 simple things. Stomach in, chest out, head up. Now, of course, if you're younger, if you're mid-age, if you're reaching your senior years, there's an importance of getting good exercise. And that varies based upon your capabilities. I'm not going to get into all of that. It's like clothing. It's whatever fits you, whatever's comfortable, and whatever can help you, make you feel better, make you look better. So it's not one size fits all. But you can't ignore it. So even though you got the baseline 3 things, stomach in, chest out, head up, you still need to have some type of activity. And like I say, that ranges. Now, I know for me personally, I love batting cages. Love batting cages. Some people, they go off to the golf courses and that's how they network. Your boy, batting cages. Love batting cages. But when I had severe lower back issues, your boy wasn't at the batting cage. I couldn't. So that activity that not only brought me a certain amount of physical benefit, it brought me some mental benefit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if I'm networking out there, it can bring some financial benefit. But that benefit I wasn't getting when I had the lower back pain. That's an issue, you know what I'm saying? That sometimes prevents people from getting the best out of their bodies that they otherwise would. I also love wave pools. I love going swimming, you know what I'm saying? One activity, I'll give you a little tip about some good physical activity you can do during the years. It's good resistance. It can get you some cardio, but it also can get you some good weight training. Is I love going to either a nice wave pool, you know, depends on the time of the year, depends on the part of the country, or just going to a nice in-ground pool, a pool that can get, you know, up to your shoulder level. It's got to be above your shoulders. You know, obviously you're not trying to drown, but it's got to be above chest area, above shoulder area. And then what you can do is maybe you can squat down in the water. But what you can do, what I like to do, is try to really hard clap under the water. Really hard. Spread your arms out real wide and try to clap. Keep your arms, you know what I'm saying, spaced out. Keep them straight, basically. A little bend, but you get what I'm saying. As if you were really trying to clap. Your palms just banging into each other. Imagine how it is in the air, and then try to do that shit in the water. It is some of the best chest, shoulder, arm. It is some of the best workout you can get, and you're not lifting weights. You know what I'm saying? For someone that's like, oh, no, I'm too fragile, I can't lift weights. You're not lifting weights. You're just lifting your arms. And you're just meeting natural resistance that the water provides you. Water, not to go off on a tangent, but water is so amazing because it can be rock hard, solid, and kill you, or it can be soothing and provide you life. But you can use, I like to use that to stay a certain amount of, you know, to get a certain amount of physical activity. And if you're doing enough and you're breathing and sweating, you know, now you got a little cardio going. But some people, they can't do certain physical things to keep themselves ahead of pace. You know what I'm saying? To try to have preventative health as opposed to responsive health, where your body's falling down, falling apart, and now you want to do something. Some people want to stay on top of things. And so they want to, you know, be able to do certain things while they can still do it, but also doing it helps prevent or delay the natural decline. So I bring up that, you know, trying to clap in a wave pool. And there's certain other different things you can do with water resistance. That's a workout, but it's not strenuous on the body. Most people, younger, middle-aged, and seniors, can do that. Most. So think about it. Like I say, anytime I get into a nice little size of body of water, 5 feet or higher, and people see me in there for about 15, 20 minutes doing something, what is he doing? He's doing some type of routine. What is he doing there underwater? I'm working out. I'm trying to clap. Or, you know what I'm saying, if you try to fly, you wave your arms a certain way. That resistance against your arms, against your chest, come on, man. But a floor, a baseline thing that you can do, that you can remind yourself. You don't have to be at a wave pool. It doesn't have to be the warm type of year. It doesn't have to be during the day. Any and every time that it pops into your head, train yourself, make it repetitive. That's why I made it just 6 words. And if you want to, you can chop it down to 3 words. Instead of it being stomach in, chest out, head up, it could just be stomach, chest, head. Just a reminder, stomach, chest, head. What am I doing with my stomach, my chest, and my head? You can flip it the other way, still make it 3 words. In, out, up. In, out, up. Make it repetitive. Make it something that can easily be triggered in your head. You remember, you didn't need somebody to tell you. You didn't need somebody to laugh and point at you. You didn't need to see some commercial of some bodybuilder and his or her body. It was triggered internally. Because real change, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos. Go look at some of my other videos in the catalog on the channel, because I talk about different things from a Gen X perspective. I've come to realize in my life, it has done me great good. Real change. Let me smoke real quick on this one. Real change is about 2 eyes. And I'm not talking about these. I'm not talking about my light brown eyes. I'm talking about 2 eyes. Internal and incremental. Real change is not about what the new trend is, what the new fad is, what everybody else is doing. Real change is not necessarily about the pressure that you get from the outside. We all know people that have still never changed, and they've got pressure that they deal with because of it in their life. Real change is internal and incremental. It may not always be consistent, but it's incremental. You keep doing it. You keep doing it because you are what you do. It's a topic for another video. But to round this out, what I'm saying is you want to make it a reminder in yourself. That way you plant the seeds of making it internal. And if you don't worry so much about like, oh no, I said I was going to do this thing at this time, at this day, and then when that routine gets broken, you get deflated. No, don't get deflated because the consistency part didn't work out. Consistency is tough. That takes continued implementation. But change, real change, it's internal and incremental. So you have to spark it. You have to want it. You have to set it in motion. And it has to be something that you do. It's not so much that you do it every time the same way every day. It's that you do it, and then you do it, and then you do it because you are what you do. So the change happens when you start to change. You get it? So it could be just something as simple as like, oh shit, I'm going to be 50 pretty soon. Stomach in, chest out, head up. Nobody had to tell me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need some type of external alarm. There was an internal alarm, an internal trigger. So I've had to develop this when I got into my 40s and as I'm starting to tick up there. I had to develop this. In my younger years, like I say, someone put me on game and was like, hey, young blood, your posture. You want to be conscious of your posture. You know what I'm saying? And also another thing that people don't necessarily pay attention to. If you've seen any of my other previous videos, I talk about certain body language. I peep out body language. Someone sees you slouching. Someone sees you in some type of kind of deteriorated physical posture, physical stance. Some people can interpret that as a sign of weakness. Or not necessarily weakness, but diminished capabilities. So they often say out on the streets, out and about, you don't want to look distracted and you don't want to look like a victim. You don't want to look wounded. You don't want to look like easy prey. So I've seen and read seen articles and read different videos that talk about that. Like, a lot of times people are preyed upon when they look distracted and when they look of diminished capabilities. And slouching and, just kind of, a certain physical presentation that you put out there could make you a little bit more prone to dealing with that type of bullshit. So you also want to think about that. There's a certain vibrancy that comes with, someone, like I've said before, you pour a little bit of water on a plant, you put a plant finally in some sunlight, it physically responds. And it feeds into the health of the plant. And the health of the plant feeds into, the internal feeds into the external, and the external feeds into the internal. So if externally you have just checked out and you don't give a fuck no more, what do you think is happening internally? But if internally you can remind yourself, you can have this internal alarm, this internal trigger that says stomach in, chest out, head up. That means that your physical is still able to respond, but your mental is still able to respond. You're still fluid out here. You're still able to be responsive and perhaps adapt to what's going on out here. Because once the mental no longer adapts, a certain amount of rigor mortis in your life is setting in. Straight up. So I'm just saying, as a young Gen Xer out here, I'm not trying to let rigor mortis set in until it's, first of all, I'm going to be cremated. So that is whatever, another discussion. But what I'm saying is you don't want a certain type of mental and physical and psychological and emotional rigor mortis set in because you've checked out. You don't care anymore. You've given up. Your younger years was all that mattered in life. And now that you've crossed 35, 45, 55, 65, whatever. There's a lot of people that are out here like that. But I'm saying, if you're like that physically, you know that feeds into the mental. And if you're like that mentally, you know, how many people out here are just checked out mentally, but they got a nice ass body? No. So I'm not saying that they, someone with a nice body is obviously the most astute person. No, I'm not saying that. But I am saying the physical bridges over to the mental. The mental bridges over to the physical. You can't act like they're separate. And so as we get older, just those 3 simple things, those 6 simple words, if you can remember to say it to yourself, you at least provide a floor for your physical and for your mental. There's more you need to do. But based upon your situation in life, you may not be able to do it. Like I said, I love going to a wave pool and getting in there and enjoying the water and, you know what I'm saying, in the social aspect or whatever. But I get in there and I work out because I still want, because the physical, I still want to, look a certain way physically. But the physical, if you can feed the physical, it'll feed the mental. And if you can feed the mental, you're not going to neglect the physical. So just those simple words, those 6 simple words in a certain particular way, it's a loop. It's a physical and mental loop. The mental is reminding the physical, and then the physical helps to trigger the mental. And as you get older, you need that firing off, because if one of them, if you decommit from one of them, it's going to affect the other. And then a certain amount of, like I say, rigor mortis starts to set in. So just something that I wanted to share with people out there. Like I say, this your boy, your uncle, Diversified. Just getting it in. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you got some stories or life advice to share. But holla at me.